What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and we got some big news here. We're going to hear from Republican Senator Bill Cassidy here on fixing Social Security. As we've heard from the State Department, from the federal government here, the Congressional Budget Office, that Social Security and the Medicare Trust Fund could run out of money in as early as 9 years. Okay. And the problem here is that Republicans and Democrats in Congress have done nothing. They've done nothing. And they've done nothing for many, many years. They've kicked the can down the road. They want to blame each other. Nobody wants to fix anything here. And this is the problem. And years keep going by, and we get closer and closer and closer to the trust fund running out of money. And this is a problem because as the Social Security Medicare Trust Fund keeps running out of money, closer and closer it gets, it becomes more and more of a problem. And the more drastic cuts or changes or tax hikes they're going to need to make. Listen to what Republican Senator Bill Cassidy has to say here. Let me know your thoughts on this.
Real debate here on this front, but I'd also want to talk to you about something that you have decided to touch, which is the third rail of American politics and Social Security. And before I ask you about it, I want to play this ad that Donald Trump is running against Ron DeSantis on this issue. Take a look.
DeSantis has his dirty fingers all over senior entitlements, like cutting Medicare, slashing Social Security, even raising our retirement age.
How much harder is the former president and, frankly, most now Republican elected officials who are suddenly running away from touching anything with Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid? How much harder is this making your job of trying to convince Republicans to have this conversation?
You know, both Joe Biden and former President Trump have the same plan, which is to do nothing on Social Security and to allow a 24% cut to benefits when the fund goes insolvent in about 8 or 9 years. They both have the same plan. It does make it harder. When your leading presidential candidates have made the decision to deceive the American people and to say there isn't a problem, when every actuary who looks at this says that there is a problem, and someone who's currently receiving 80 years old, otherwise would be in poverty, will get a 24% cut in their benefits by current law, it makes it very hard when they are so irresponsible. It's true for President Biden. It's true for former President Trump.
Let me ask you, in this effort to get reform, are you open to tax hikes?
I'll get to what the rest of what he says here, but this is why I just consider myself a realist, not a Republican, not a Democrat. I just like to look at each particular issue as a realistic situation and what the realistic problems and how you solve it. I agree with the senator there, and the French are really dealing with this issue right now. They're having gatherings in the streets right now. A lot of people are very upset about this in France. They just raised their retirement age by 2 years. They're dealing with a very similar issue. A lot of countries are. They raised their retirement age from 62 to 64, which is much less than what we have and a lot less than what a lot of other countries have. And they're upset about it. They're gathering in the streets right now. And guys, you might be thinking, what? It's true. And we may have to raise our retirement age yet again. We may have to raise taxes yet again. You'll hear what he has to say here about that here in a second. There's a multiple different sets of solutions. And the closer and closer we get to insolvency, running out of money, they may have to do multiple sets of these solutions, which become more and more painful the closer and closer we get to Social Security and Medicare Trust Fund running out of money. Because if we get to that insolvency date where the trust fund runs out of money, what happens is that it's not that people won't get a paycheck. You heard him say that people could get a 24% pay cut. And what could happen then at that point is that people could only get the Social Security paychecks of what only comes into Social Security at that time. Basically, the people that would be paying into the system every single month, Social Security would basically have to take the money that comes into Social Security every single month and pay it out right away, because the Social Security Trust Fund, the Social Security Medicare Trust Fund, is literally losing money every single month. They're losing billions of dollars every single month or year. And the problem with this is that Congress does nothing. Republicans blame the Democrats. Democrats blame the Republicans. Oh, this side wants to raise the retirement age. This side wants to cut your benefits, et cetera, et cetera. Trump's already blaming DeSantis, and literally the election's not even for a year and a half, okay? DeSantis hasn't even announced that he's going to run for presidency. And again, I'm not defending DeSantis or Trump or Biden or anybody, but DeSantis isn't even a president or anything like that. And this is the problem, is that the reality of it is that Social Security is going to need cuts or tax raises or both because it's running out of money. So just think about that from a realistic point of view. Look at what's happening in France. They're raising the retirement age. We have already raised the retirement age back from the Reagan administration. They already raised the retirement age. You guys already know this. They're talking about raising the retirement age to age 70 now. As crazy as that sounds, it's true. They may have to do that. They may have to raise taxes. I'll let you hear what Bill Cassidy says here in a second. The problem is that they're doing nothing. Congress and Republicans and Democrats can't agree on anything. They can't even raise the debt ceiling right now. Literally months have gone by since we've actually passed the debt limit. Nothing has happened. We haven't even seen a proposal from the Republican Party yet because on what they want to cut, because they can't agree on what they want to cut yet. It's a very difficult situation on that, because when they talk about cutting things, like maybe we've heard some Republicans say maybe SNAP benefits, maybe like welfare stuff like that, and different things like that. It's a very touchy situation, because when you start talking about cutting benefits from Americans, guess what? Those Americans are going to be very upset. And they originally had mentioned, Kevin McCarthy had actually spoke about it, cutting some defense spending. And I don't think they're going to do that now with what's happening with China, North Korea, and Russia. But where are you going to cut the spending from? You have to cut spending from somewhere. And you look at all these different problems that the country is having, where are you going to cut the spending from? Now, they've already cut SNAP spending. It's already happening. Yeah, the pandemic bonus money is gone. So about half the states, or a little bit more, have already, it's gone. You know this if you're on SNAP food benefits. And the problem with this right now is that food costs are already at an all-time high. And this hurts the lowest income people, the people who are having the hardest time right now. Poof, gone. So, this is kind of the problem with our whole country right now. Republicans, Democrats can't agree. You've been paying into Social Security your whole life. And take a look at this here. Literally published here yesterday from CNBC. 74% of Americans say they can't count on Social Security when planning for retirement. 74% of Americans say they can't even count on Social Security. They don't know if it's going to be around. They don't know if benefits are going to be cut. They don't know what's going to happen. 74% of Americans. And remember, whenever you take a poll, anything over 2/3 is considered a supermajority. That's basically what it takes to override a president, or for a presidential veto, or to impeach a president. Anything over 2/3 of Americans is considered extremely high. This is 3/4 of Americans. That's a lot. Changes may be coming to fixed Social Security trust fund, which are projected to be able to pay full benefits only until the 2030s. That's only 7 years away. The problem here is that they're nowhere close to making any changes to Social Security at all. They're literally not close in any way, shape, or form to getting any form of agreement. So take a listen to what the rest of here the senator has to say.
Are you open to tax hikes? I mean, it's going to have to be some combination of tax hikes and probably raising the retirement age.
What we have is a big idea. And in our big idea, we create a fund which is separate from Social Security. We put about $1.5 trillion in it, and we allow it to be invested in the nation's economy. There's no risk borne by the beneficiary, and there's no Social Security dollars put into this separate fund. And we allow it to sit there, and we allow it to grow. And at the end, it helps bridge Social Security to sustainability. All the risk is borne by the fund. Now, what you do in the additional 25%, that is 75% of what we need to do. The additional 25% are dials that politically we have to come together and resolve. If one side proposes something, the other side will demagogue it. We see Trump and we see Biden demagoguing it now. We need honesty with the American people, but we have a big idea that solves 75% of the problem, and that's a pretty good idea.
Well, Senator Cassidy, it is a tough issue for you to try to take a leadership position on. Good luck. We'll be watching, and I look forward to continuing this discussion down the road. Thanks for coming on and sharing your perspective.
Thank you, Chuck.
Now, right now, the Social Security Trust Fund is invested, your Social Security money is invested in U.S. Treasuries, okay? So what he's saying is that, I'm not exactly sure where he's saying the $1.5 trillion is going to come from, if it's not going to come out of Social Security, especially if Social Security runs out of money in the future, so if Congress doesn't do anything. But again, he's $1.5 trillion comes from somewhere, and he's basically saying it would invest in a portfolio of stocks and bonds. And basically, he's saying that, from what I'm gathering, a theoretical conversation here is because Republicans are pitching this idea because a portfolio, especially a stock portfolio, makes a lot more money over the course of time than U.S. Treasuries do. Okay, a historical average of the stock market makes a lot more money on average. If you just look it up, the historical average would make more money than U.S. Treasuries. Okay, over the course of time, that would or has made in the past more money, and that would have kept Social Security more solvent. There's a lot of pros and cons with this, of course, but he said that Social Security money would not be used on that. So I don't know how they would actually put that to use and to work. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon. Of course, I'll keep you up to date here. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos here. Here's some videos you should watch next. Here's a bill that President Biden just signed, and there's going to be major changes for millions of Americans. And here's actually some good news from the IRS for millions of Americans as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.